Kyle. We've got to hurry. You don't want to keep the mighty and honorable Bailey waiting.
But she is so mighty. What if she doesn't like what our master has to say?
Why? Are you worried she won't?
Of course I'm worried, Violet, and you should be too. Some of my fellow servants have never returned from this awful place.
But isn't she also honorable? I doubt she's going to be as bad as all that.
Don't be too sure. If I told you half the things I've heard about Bailey, you'd probably...
No need to knock, I suppose. Come on.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have long been awaiting to hear from my good friend Jacobs. You are his ambassadors, are you not?
Yeah, I'm Violet, and this is Kyle.
Yes or no will do.
Well, yes.
I see. Well, I assume you have a message for me then?
Oh, yes, we do. And a gift.
A gift? What gift?
I do hope it's not one of those gag gifts. Ionel knows I can't stand jokes. That was a joke. Continue.
Greetings to my good friend Bailey. I hope you are well.
I'm fine, thanks. What did you get me?
I have sent this message with a gift. It is a radio. Fully working and shall serve you well.
He's giving her the radio? That can't be! Violet, you're reading the wrong message.
I suppose this gift is sufficient. I will put it alongside my favorite decorations.
But don't you want to listen to it?
Listen to it?
Yeah, you press this button and it plays programs and songs, like this.
You're not gonna get a better bargain than this, Mr. Jacobs. $14 for a rundown radio that barely works. You can't beat that.
I'm sorry, Bailey. I just don't think that deal is in my best interests.
What do you mean? It's $14. You know how much you can buy with that? That's like 3 boxes of the best cereal in the world. That's like a decent pair of sneakers at Mighty Mart.
Really? Well, that's quite a deal on sneakers.
Yeah, it's their buy one shoe, get the other free deal.
The problem is, Bailey, I just bought shoes last month. I think I'll be fine.
But that must have cost you. And how would you like to make that money back by selling off an old piece of furniture?
Hey, Mr. Jacobs. Bailey?
What's going on?
Good morning, Kyle. Bailey's trying to buy the radio from me.
We were just agreeing on the price.
You're selling the radio?
You mean the radio? The one that you guys listen to every Saturday without fail because it's the coolest thing to do and probably will be for a long time? That radio?
Yeah, that radio, Violet.
Sounds like the price tag just went up, Bailey.
Great, just great. Now what am I gonna get my dad?
Your dad?
Yeah, I've gotten all the rest of my family and friends gifts for Christmas, but as always, Dad is the hardest one to buy for.
You got me a present?
Sure, give me 5. Merry Christmas.
I'll treasure it always.
Can you buy him a tie? That's usually what I get my dad for presents.
Yeah, my dad doesn't have a fancy tie or go to anything really fancy. I think I saw him try to put on a tie once. Mom had to cut it off of him at the end of the night.
Why don't you make a list of things your dad likes? Maybe that will help you find something he would enjoy.
Things he likes?
Yeah, he's gotta have something he thinks is fun.
True. Can I get a piece of paper and a pencil, Mr. Jacobs?
You know where I keep them.
And while she does that, I'm gonna listen to the radio.
Me too.
How's the list going, Bailey?
It's going all right, Kyle. My dad likes a lot of stuff, but between you and me, it's a little weird.
My dad's the same way.
Mr. Jacobs, I have a question about gifts.
Oh, well, I'm afraid the radio isn't for sale, Violet.
Actually, I was thinking about something that Kimberly was talking about last week. She learned that the whole idea of presents came from the wise men giving gifts to Jesus when he was just a little baby.
That's true. Is there something you don't understand?
Just that it must have been nice to give God presents when he was with us. I was wondering if, since he's back in heaven, is it possible to give him presents?
Yeah, it kinda is his birthday. It would make sense.
That's a very interesting question. The short answer is yes. The long answer is that I can think of 3 ways that we can give God gifts.
Oh, I didn't know there were that many.
Yeah, is there a website option or something that sends your gift to God?
Not quite, Kyle. The first way I thought of was by giving to your church and other ministries. For thousands of years, people have been bringing their gifts to help pastors and missionaries live and spread God's good news. This kind of giving goes all the way back to the very beginning of the Bible, and there are many laws talking about how God wanted these gifts to be given.
Wow, picky much?
It is a little specific in parts, but I think God was just making sure that his people knew how important it was and that they would have to be paying attention and not just acting like they cared about it.
Okay, so that was the first way to give presents to God. What about the other two?
The next way that I thought of was giving to those in need. Verses all throughout the Bible tell us that being a friend to the friendless, standing up for people that others don't care about, and providing food and shelter to the hungry and homeless is very important. In fact, in Matthew 25, God says that whatever we do to these people, we do it to him.
I think you said that kind of thing before, and there are a lot of charities that ask for donations around Christmas time.
Yeah, they're making it easy for us to give presents to those who need them, and that means that we're actually giving those presents to God.
What's the third way you thought of, Mr. Jacobs?
I'd have to say, I'll be right back.
And talk about cliffhangers.
What do we do now?
What we always do while we're waiting for Mr. Jacobs to get back.
Already on it.
All right, I'm back. Where were we?
You were about to tell us the third way we can give God presents for Christmas?
Yeah, you already mentioned giving to our church.
And giving to people who need our help.
That's right. And the last way I was thinking was by living for God.
Living for him? That sounds like a cop-out.
What do you mean?
I mean, what could be easier than living? Just eat, sleep, and breathe. Pretty basic.
I don't think that's what he meant, Bailey.
I'm with Violet. I think Mr. Jacobs meant living the way God tells us to.
And that's right, Kyle. In Romans 12, God kind of gives us his wish list. Things like living with humility, love, kindness, and peace are on this list, as well as forgiveness and doing what is right.
Oh, that's not so easy.
No, it isn't. That's why God starts off this chapter by telling us to let him change us. When we do, he helps us see what he wants us to do. If we follow what he wants instead of doing what we want, this chapter calls that being a living sacrifice, or in other words, a living present for God.
It's the gift that keeps on giving itself.
Nice.
Does that answer your question, Violet?
Yeah, I think so. Are there other ways to give gifts to God?
I probably missed a few. Those are just the first ones I could think of right off.
Okay.
There are a lot of other verses that tell us how to live for God, though.
That's very true, but I don't think we have time to talk about all of them. That's a lot of Bible verses. And besides, if we talked about them all today, then we wouldn't have anything to talk about next week.
Well, since we don't want that, can we listen to the radio some more?
Sounds like a good idea.
All right, I think that gives me a few good ideas.
All done with your list, Bailey?
Yeah, I think I can find my dad something with this to help me. Thanks for this suggestion, Mr. Jacobs.
No problem.
There is something I was wondering about, though.
Oh, okay.
We've been talking about all of the things God would like for Christmas, but I want to know if there are any gifts that he doesn't like.
Why would you want to know that?
I don't want to give him a bad present, Kyle. Duh. If there's stuff I should avoid, I want to know about them.
That makes sense.
It does make sense, Violet. And I can think of a couple of chapters that can point us in the right direction.
Just two?
Well, just to get us started. The first chapter is Proverbs 6, where it gives us an anti-wish list. Things that God hates and we should avoid at all costs.
Huh. I didn't know anti-wish lists were a thing.
Well, it is in this chapter.
So what does it say?
Yeah, what are these things God hates?
Starting in verse 17, we find stuff like pride, lies, plotting, and murder. Not to mention wanting to do bad things and make trouble for others.
You know, I kind of got the idea that if we just took God's wish list and said the opposite of everything, it would look like this one.
It's true, but the other chapter that I was thinking of gives us something else to avoid. In chapter 5 of the book of Amos, God tells people who were giving gifts to him that he hated what they were bringing.
Wow. That sounds like a bad situation.
Yeah. What was wrong with the gifts?
Oh, the gifts were fine, but there was something wrong with the gift givers. They thought they could do whatever they wanted, but give God gifts so he would bring them good luck. They didn't really love him. They were trying to use him, and he wasn't going to put up with it.
So what you're saying is when we give our presents to God, whether that means giving to a church or the poor or just living for him, it needs to be because we love him and not because we are looking to get anything out of it.
Exactly.
I wonder if I mess up like that sometimes.
I know I have.
It's a good reminder for all of us to be careful and make a change if we aren't doing the right things for the right reason.
Yeah, well, speaking of the right things, I've got to go to the store and see if they have anything that matches this present idea list.
Want any help, Bailey?
Sure, if you want.
I'll come too.
Well, it looks like everyone's coming with me then. See you later, Mr. Jacobs.
Bye, guys. Have a good Christmas. Could one of you turn off the radio for me?
I've got it.